I grew up working in a construction family. After working with my grandpa very young on the job sites, I transitioned to work with my dad doing custom homes, spec homes, primarily around a residential drywall. After I graduated and I went off to college, and I started studying pre-med. And this was primarily because of the pressures of high school and the idea of becoming a doctor or a lawyer. And so this heavily pushed me during this time from both school counselors and parents. So I quickly learned that pre-med wasn't for me and had no interest, and I actually ended up switching to finance. During my senior year of college, I found myself even less interested in a corporate career. And this is when I transitioned back to my dad's job site. I started working with my dad again and just became very frustrated with how outdated the construction industry was. The communication was terrible. We couldn't find good people to hire, and the use of helpful technology on the job site dealing with builders was definitely a stranger to the site. Passion for workforce development, and now going on 3 years in the social media space, building one of the largest construction followings. And because of it, I found a lot of these missing components in the traditional social media platforms that didn't really appeal to the people in construction or this next generation. From there, I founded a company called Hammr, which is a professional network for the construction workers and the people in the field. Now, today, I really want to focus on this quote that has seemingly passed through the construction industry for probably over a decade. It's a very big belief that a lot of people have in the industry. And, you know, I would say that, you know, this has been shadowed. I think there definitely can be made an argument that the next generation is not interested in construction, and it's primarily because of the recession and people not getting interested. And I think there can be an argument to be made here, but I want to take the opportunity and show a different picture, the progress we're making in the industry, and how all of us in the AEC community can help contribute and support this upcoming generational workforce shift. So obviously the not so great recession, this started in 2008, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some history really quick and prior to 2008. So prior to 2008, most shop classes and vocational training had been ripped from all high schools nearly. And still today, construction and a career in trades is becoming a very limited conversation. Many of these schools still pointing traditional careers like becoming a doctor or a lawyer. Now, when 2008 to 2010 hit, obviously you see on the graph, this is when we hit some of the worst years in construction, and about 2 million of these professionals have left the industry and never actually returned. I personally felt this with my family. No one was building. People, including myself, began to fear the industry because of the, the association of the housing-led recession. And thankfully, my family survived and we made it out of this recession. But because of its association, I became very fearful to even go into the industry. So a majority of this recession, it became a very household conversation. Go to college, avoid the construction industry, and follow the instruction that so many millions of these millennials did, and that's to be fearful of the industry and go choose a different career path. Now let's talk about the comeback. So I'm a big believer that the past 10 years, I think this is the greatest time to be in construction right now. Though the Great Recession destroyed a lot of businesses and professionals and led to a massive labor shortage, I think scarcity has brought innovation over the last 10 years, as all of you are very well aware of. And I want to talk to you about 3 things. So first and foremost, what has brought the attractiveness? New technology. We have things like artificial reality, virtual reality, incredible design software, mobile devices for the mobile workforce, and collaboration that has nearly connected every single person involved in the building process. And I think this is boosting the attractiveness of the industry. New materials. So whether you want to talk about cross-laminated timber, prefabrication, modular construction, all of these are starting to ease the use of back-breaking labor, and which is ranked the top leading concern of the next generational millennials, Generation Z, that this is the main reason that they wouldn't take an interest in the construction industry. And so we're already easing the hard labor component. Now, with the 40% of our industry retiring, over the next 10 years, there's a generational workforce shift, and people are demanding ease of use, new technology, and new materials. Now, I want to talk to you about social media and what's actually changing a lot of the stuff in the industry. Whatever social media outlet these millennials and this next generation is using, they're having the ability to connect with these professionals in the industry through social media platforms. And it's providing to be the second leading medium just after high school and training to get the right exposure, and that's creating an influence and interest in construction careers. So with this generational workforce shift happening over the next 10 years, new management is shifting, which is going to create a massive adoption of technology and collaboration, and a new role of field workers who will be required to upskill and improve tech skills and educational content around new materials. And I think this is providing a massive opportunity for the AEC and us as professionals to influence the next generation. But I don't think the work is done yet. I think there's still a gap in the industry, and this is what I wanted to chat to you guys about. The next generation is highly undereducated about the opportunities and tech advancements in construction. Though we're starting to have a generational workforce shift, the digital natives and even some of these multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns are not pushing the next generation to get involved with these tech careers and these construction careers. And it's not enough. These high school students need more exposure. And I think the lack of the shop classes and the vocational training and the promoting and training, they're still receiving little exposure and information to any benefits in the construction industry. I want to share some data that I recently stumbled upon from the National Kitchen and Bathroom Association. 25% of the students felt informed about construction careers. So what the NKBA did is they went around to all these high school gymnasiums and they got in front of 6,000 Houston students. Essentially, they set up modules that could demonstrate all these trade careers, whether it was an electrician, a plumber, a carpenter, and they set up these modules in this gymnasium. They essentially toured these schools, set up modules, and 6,000 of these construction students had felt less informed about the construction industry than ever before. One sec, my thing's froze. Okay, here. Sorry about that. So the one thing that I was saying is, yeah, the vast majority of these high school students aren't receiving the proper information around trades or the role of technology in their field of interest. And I think with improving the tech component, we could drastically improve the attractiveness and the benefit to these students. This was a really surprising statistic. NKBA found and surveyed these 6,000 students that many of them didn't feel the stigma prior to before from their parents or their peers. And this is an incredible improvement because given the recession and everything, even myself, I felt a stigma towards the industry. I was very fearful to join it. And a lot of these next generation professionals have felt the stigma to not go in and join the construction career. So it's haunted previous generations and adults for even considering a construction career. Now, what was surprising after the career tours that NKBA did is 90% of these students actually felt a positive view after going through the career tour. So it was a test drive. They got to experience the module, whether they wanted to be an electrician, a carpenter, or a plumber. And after the tour was done, they had the ability to test drive all these trades. 90% of these students felt a positive view of the construction careers. And just imagine what we can do if we actually get technology in front of these students. Not only can they test drive careers in carpenters, plumbers, electricians, but if we had the opportunity to show them the impact that construction technology can take in their field and the benefits that it can provide them, we can see a massive increase in the benefits and the attractiveness of the industry. Now, this is probably one of my favorite memes that has floated around. When your employer says that you're still essential. Now, I was pretty hesitant to actually put this in the slide, but I really want to touch on this something. So given the fact of COVID over the last several months, I know how devastating this virus has been for a lot of people and families and businesses in the industry, but construction has nearly bounced back to pre-COVID employments already. And having the ear to the ground, I've really found that a lot of people in the field have had a boost of morale in construction, as a lot of them have still remained essential. And the industry, as a majority of the work, has still remained essential. I think over the last decade, the stigma has haunted the industry. And the one positive takeaway that we've actually experienced from COVID and the virus is we're seeing a boost in morale. We're seeing a lot of these people feel a value in society. And the data has actually shown that high school students are seeing the perceived benefits of their own potential and career always being in demand. And so while this has been devastating to a lot of business and professionals, we're showing through the data that a lot of these students are seeing a much better perception of their career taking place. So how can all of us as AEC leaders build the next generation and contribute to it? So with all these new technologies, new materials, and easing of the hard labor, students are starting to see a lot of the benefits in construction. So how can we help? First and foremost, exposure and outreach. I liked what Devin said in his presentation yesterday of outreach just means reaching out. I think we have a really good opportunity with these digital natives to, they're surrounded by technology, and getting the younger generation exposed to the new technologies, we can significantly improve the attractiveness of the industry. And I think that's, we have an opportunity to go to career fairs, hosting lunch and learns, and learning and going to local high school and doing presentations and showing what your tech tool is, whether it's AR, VR, design softwares, and showing them what can actually be built with their role or whatever career path they choose to take. How can technology play a role in the career that they choose? And not only have we seen the data from the National Kitchen and Bathroom Association with the modules and them getting warmed up to these trade programs, but just imagine what we can do if we show them, the devices that they work with every day. How can they use that to empower themselves on the job site? The next one is inspiration. Let's show them what they can be built when the worlds of construction and technology come together. I talked a little bit about this in my previous slide, but having the technology tools of AR, VR, design software, it's pretty simple to show the next generation what can be built when both of these worlds collide. Not a lot of these vocational schools or high schools have the infrastructure or even budget and planning to put together these tech presentations or even the knowledge about what technology tools actually exist in the market, let alone just informing them about construction careers. And so I think leveraging, the AEC community, our knowledge about construction technology, if we can deliver a way that not only empowers people in the industry to see construction in a better way through modules and training, getting them informed of their career, but again, imagine what we can do when we show them the role of technology and how it can benefit them in the future. And lastly, training. Like all of you know, many of us have chatted about the use of social media, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever it is. We all have the ability to meet the next generation where they're at. For me personally, this has been one of the best things that we've done, is actually built a strong social media presence that's really changing the image of construction and getting in front of the next generation so they can see what we're about. They can see the tools that we're using, and they can actually experience construction in a very authentic way. Right now, I'm sure all of you can attest that, but the unions, the associations, and all of these construction employers, they're very outdated in their business practices. And the next generation really demands a medium where, they can learn. They can learn from the webinars. They can have educational videos. And we really have to meet these students where they're at so we can get the right exposure on not only construction careers, but how construction technology is going to play a role in that. And my last question to you all is, what are we doing to get the next generation interested? Just a short recap, high school students are lacking the right information about careers in construction, given that shop classes and vocational training has been ripped from these high schools. A high percentage of these students are showing a positive view of construction after being exposed to the trades and given the opportunity to test drive these roles and what they would want to do in the field. And the last thing is, imagine what we can actually do once we start correctly exposing them to the benefits of construction careers, but also the possibilities of what we can actually create leveraging construction technology. And that is it. Thank you.